So this video is going to be something totally different, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Going to be sharing with you guys 4 neighborhoods, if I could do it all over again and move back to Denver, starting over, where I personally would choose to live. This is coming from a 40+ year Colorado native, and some of these areas you might be surprised about. I'm really excited to share this brand new episode of Living in Denver with you. Stay tuned. All right, you guys, so as I said, today's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna be sharing with you 4 very specific neighborhoods that even some of my close friends and family that have lived here their entire lives, just like I have, aren't even that familiar with. So these are some areas that you might not know about, and I'm really looking forward to sharing them with you. But before we do, really quick, as always, my name is Adam Lang. I'm a licensed realtor here in Denver, Colorado, Denver and Colorado native, and I really love making videos just like this one. So make sure you guys hit that like and that subscribe so you're the first to receive every weekly episode that comes out. And one last plug, all that info down below, phone number, email, feel free to reach out. I also have a brand new 2025 Locals Guide to Denver, over 20 of my favorite neighborhoods. Definitely grab a copy. The link is down in the show notes. All right, so let's go ahead and get started though. Talking all about these 4 neighborhoods that are definitely on my radar if I was to go back and do it all over again and pick a new neighborhood to live in. So unfortunately, none of these 4 include where I currently reside, which is in the southwestern side of Denver in a place called Grant Ranch, which is in Littleton. So that one's not gonna be on the list today, even though it does still remain in my top areas. So on a side note, if you guys wanna check out more about Grant Ranch, I've got tons of content. I'll put a link up above. Make sure you guys check that one out after you finish watching this video. So starting right off with number 1, I wanted to include Sunnyside. And Sunnyside is, for this video, gonna be my up and coming, more of an urban neighborhood to check out. So Sunnyside is located just on the northwestern side of Denver. It is very close to downtown Denver, only about a 5, maybe 10-minute drive, but very, very close to downtown Denver. And to get over to the airport, it's not too bad either. I would say it's about a 25 to 30-minute drive, depending on the time of day and traffic. But let's be honest, that's kind of the case with anywhere we're trying to travel to these days, with all cities becoming pretty unpredictable when it comes to traffic and construction, all that good stuff. But going back to where it's located, since it is just on the western side of downtown Denver, it is super close to some of the most popular and pretty pricey areas all around Sunnyside. One of these would be West Highlands, and just to the south of that, you've got Sloan Lake. And I used to live in Sloan Lake, and I love this area, so I have a lot of firsthand just reasoning why I put this as my number 1 spot. And the reason I didn't put, though, Sloan Lake or West Highland, and I chose Sunnyside, is this really is an area that is definitely kind of the cat's out of the bag. People know about Sunnyside at this point, but if you're acting quickly, these still are some great opportunities to buy a little bit more affordable properties, but be in that proximity just like you're at with West Highland and Sloan Lake. And you know, there's only gonna be more and more popularity around this area because it's very limited in size with being able to be more and more developed. You know, a lot of the homes in this area are a bit older, kind of that mid-century modern in some cases, as well as just the kind of the 1940s, a little bit of a, I'd say, you know, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, or maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single level, maybe a basement, but it's a pretty low ceiling, and pretty decent sized lots. You also have the opportunity in some specific areas in Sunnyside to even be able to build out an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, if the zoning and the lot size is big enough to have potentially a way to generate a little bit of extra income as a rental property, or even just for a nice, really high-end quality mother-in-law unit for when you have guests or family members coming out to visit you. So kind of tying this all into what my biggest pro or my biggest reason why Sunnyside is such a great spot to check out, which is its location combined with its affordability. Now, affordability is something that I'm gonna be using a little bit loosely here. It all depends on where you're maybe watching this video from and what you think is affordable. But when comparing it to a lot of other areas around Denver, I think Sunnyside is definitely worth checking out. So it really does have that great location combined with a fairly reasonable price point when compared to those areas like I just mentioned, Highlands and Sloan Lake. Now, to play devil's advocate and talk about my one con or reason maybe why this wouldn't be the best spot to check out, First and foremost is that it's definitely getting more and more popular, which is causing a lot of construction, some recent gentrification, meaning there's a lot of the older residents and homeowners are kind of slowly starting to leave, and this new generation of younger adults are starting to buy up a lot of these properties. People that maybe wanted to initially live in Highlands or Sloan Lake, but that price point was maybe a bit too high, so they've identified this Sunnyside area as an alternative. So this is definitely gonna be an area that we're gonna see a lot of construction. Also, you're gonna be fighting a little bit more with not just traffic, but parking. And when it comes to parking, the reason this is an area that's plagued with a little bit more challenges, since it is an older neighborhood, these older neighborhoods, oftentimes when you have neighbors that might have more than the 1 or 2 car garage space that's available inside their home, what's gonna happen is they're gonna be parking on the street. And if you have people parking on both sides of the street, or maybe because of all this construction going on, you've got a lot of workers and just people that don't necessarily live on your street, but are using your street to park and maybe even just walk from there into downtown Denver, or maybe catch one of these little Lyft scooters. You know, when you have an area that's very popular, you're gonna be fighting a little bit more on the parking situation. And since you have parking spaces on either side of the road getting filled up, that leaves a very small, narrow area to really get through. So if you have 2 cars, one coming at you and you're trying to both go at the same time, sometimes it's kind of annoying. You have to kind of pull off to the side, let them pass you and then get back. So if that's something that really bothers you, I would just say it's important to just be very clear on what street you might be identifying as a potential home. And on that street, how big is the street? Is it wide enough to not have to deal with this kind of stuff? So to close out Sunnyside, what's this area best for? Well, it really could be great for anybody, but in my opinion, I think this is a great spot for young professionals, maybe somebody that's still commuting into downtown Denver for work, where they're not fully remote, or for people that are trying to just get their foot in the door, buy a home that might have a little bit of TLC needed, meaning it's got some value add opportunities, homes that are a little bit outdated that could be improved, maybe some of that by yourself, doing some sweat equity, picking up a hammer, doing some projects yourself just to save on the expenses, but still improve the property and live in one of the best locations in all of Denver when it comes to just easy access to downtown Denver, as well as really good easy access to I-70, which will take you out west to up to the mountains and go skiing and all that fun stuff. And also I-25, which is going that north-south and really taking you anywhere you need to go in and around Denver. So definitely check out Sunnyside. All right, so now just jumping right into number 2, it's gonna be Arvada. So Arvada is gonna be a little bit to the north and to the west of Sunnyside. And this is a great spot for a lot of people as well, but I put this one as kind of my family, but also commuter sweet spot. And the reason I say that is it's going to have a little bit quieter streets in comparison to Sunnyside, but it's also gonna have some pretty highly rated school systems. And from the commuting standpoint, very easy access, not only to take public transit out to downtown Denver, as well as Denver International Airport, but also it's got a very nice, easy access to get over to I-70 and get up to the mountains, or even go the other direction, go a little bit north out to Boulder. So really good location where you can kind of access everything when you're in this Arvada area. So my biggest pro, why I would choose this area to live in myself, is definitely because of the walkability. So there aren't that many areas in Denver that have true walkability. And when I say walkability, what I think of is kind of like a city center. An area that has a lot of locally owned and operated businesses and shops and restaurants, and you have the ability just to kind of walk all around and enjoy a lot of this without getting in your car and driving somewhere else. So you're not going to see nearly as much of those big box stores or chain restaurants in the downtown part of Arvada. You're still going to have a lot of that though, very close to here, just a little bit to the south on Wadsworth Boulevard, which is seeing massive growth and changes over the last decade. But with the Old Town Arvada area, I just love that. I love having the ability just to start seeing people that you recognize, having that more of a kind of community feel in an area that still has a lot of people. So when it comes to my one reason why I might not want to live in Arvada, it's going to come down to just a congestion. And congestion piggybacking with just how you're getting to downtown Denver or other parts of the city if you aren't using public transportation. So this is a great area if you are, with that commuter line. That G line goes right into that Old Town Arvada area, where for a lot of people, you can even walk from your house just straight to the station, and just very easy way to get to Denver. But if you're not using that and you're driving, there's times of days where, man, especially recently, where I've been taking clients out to see different parts of Arvada where, geez, it has just been a nightmare. Just stop and go. You think you're gonna get somewhere in 15 minutes, it ends up taking you 45 minutes or longer. So as long as you're kind of aware of that, and hopefully some of that's temporary because of the construction going on and some of the other developments along that Wadsworth Boulevard, I think once you've kind of gotten past that aspect, this is a great place to live. One of my biggest takeaways and why I think Arvada is definitely worthy of this list of top 4 neighborhoods is also its location when it comes to views. Some awesome views, not only of the western slope, mountains, just really, really pretty. You can also actually look a little bit east and see downtown Denver and the entire city skyline. Little side note, you can have some awesome views that I'm talking about if you're living in the Layden Rock community, which is a newer built community. But also you have great access and views to the north looking out towards Boulder. So if you guys are outdoor enthusiasts, you like, getting off of work and having a place within 5 or 10 minutes where you can jump on your mountain bike or maybe just grab your dog and go for a really nice walk and get away from a lot of people, well, Arvada has a ton of options. And the last thing I'll leave you with Arvada, kind of my final takeaway, is I talked about just some of that community feel with that old town Arvada area. Not only do you have that area, you also have a few other little pockets with similar kind of characteristics, and one of those being 5 Points. And at 5 Points, you actually have one of the best coffee shops in all of Denver called Steamer's Coffee Shop and Jack's Bar and Grill. They're connected. And my sister, who has special needs, actually used to work here part-time, and it is just an awesome business with an incredible mission and just purpose behind it. So you have some really cool spots like that in Arvada. And just one last plug, I know I just said that a minute ago, but my final plug for Arvada, what's really cool is a lot of Arvada is in unincorporated Jefferson County. And when you're in unincorporated Jefferson County, you have the ability to have a little bit less restrictions when it comes to use of your property. So if you guys maybe work out of your home and maybe you do a little bit of like woodworking or some sort of shop aspect to your business, you could potentially have a work from home scenario where you'll legally be able to do so when living in part of Arvada, which is in the unincorporated Jefferson County. So if that's maybe something that's interesting to you, that maybe is resonating, definitely look a little bit more into it. Or if you want more info from me, feel free to reach out. I'll put all that info again down below, and I can share some more specifics with you there. Okay, so now jumping into number 3. Number 3, we're going pretty much to the complete opposite side of Denver. So Arvada is kind of in that northwestern side. Now we're actually going all the way down to the southeastern part of Denver in southeast Aurora in an area called South Shore. If you guys are already following my Living in Denver YouTube channel and seen some of my prior recent videos, I did a bunch on this area because I actually just finished selling a home in South Shore, and by doing so, I was just spending a ton of time down in this area, and I never even knew about this place when I was growing up and when I was considering what parts of Denver I wanted to live in. So that's why I wanted to include it here, because it's an area that I think a lot of people maybe aren't even aware of, but man, I'll tell you what, it is awesome. And it's awesome for a few reasons, but I'll start off just with its location. So its location is, again, going to be to the southeastern side of Denver. And when you're looking at it on a map, you actually do have a very easy, quick access to Denver International Airport. So if you're somebody that travels a lot for work, or that's just a high priority for you to be close to a hub for travel, then this definitely could be the best spot I've shared with you so far. So South Shore's got a nice, easy access to the airport, but also it's got some of the best school system in the entire state, which is the Cherry Creek Public School System. I'll let you guys do your own homework on that. Check out niche.com. That's always one of my favorites that I recommend to all my clients as well as friends and family. It shares a lot of great resources there. But Cherry Creek is always a coveted school district to be a part of, and in parts of Aurora, including South Shore, you are in that district. So when it comes to my biggest pro and the reason that I would choose South Shore as my next home, it's gonna be the amenities and also just all of the cool stuff that exists out your back door when you're in South Shore. So Aurora Reservoir is literally steps away from a lot of the homes in South Shore, as well as 2 awesome clubhouses. There's even a private fishing lake with a boat dock. There's tons of people paddleboarding and just all kinds of outdoor activities. And all of this can be done without ever getting in your car and literally just walking out your door to get to access all this great stuff. So my clients that I just helped selling their house, that was one of the things they loved about this area, is just how it really felt almost like a resort-like community. Really good neighbors, just everybody just seemed to really be happy where they were in living here in the South Shore area. So that was definitely my biggest takeaway and my biggest pro to share with you guys, is just how if you're looking for, not just a home, but truly a lifestyle, this could be the best spot for you and definitely worth checking out. So now I want to share though my one con, or just reason why this might not be the best spot for you. So with South Shore, the location's great for outdoor activities like Aurora Reservoir and all of the stuff that I just shared with you, but it is going to be a bit further from the city of Denver as far as all of the great restaurants, shopping, nightlife. If a lot of that stuff is important to you, just be aware that you're going to have to spend a little bit of time in your car getting to those parts of Denver when you live down in South Shore. They do have a lot of restaurants and shopping, but you're going to find a little bit more of the big box and chain type restaurants. It's still some great options, but if you're really looking more for those special restaurants that are locally owned and operated and just that type of vibe, you're probably not going to find it as easily down in South Shore. So to wrap up South Shore, definitely a great spot if you are a family and you're really prioritizing the school district that your kiddos might be going into. Look at niche.com for your own analysis of that, but that could definitely be one reason, as well as just anybody that wants that kind of resort type amenities of a lifestyle, the lifestyle more than just the house. Aurora Reservoir, just tons of great stuff to check out. So I definitely think you guys are, at least nothing else, worth looking a little bit more into this neighborhood if I'm speaking your language right now. I've done a lot of other videos on South Shore. I'll link a couple up above. Make sure you guys check those out after this video. All right, and then rounding this out with the fourth neighborhood that I would definitely move to if I was gonna do it all over again today. This is gonna be Wheat Ridge. And I chose Wheat Ridge because it's kind of a combination of a really good value as well as a little bit larger lot size. So it's kind of a play on two things. You're getting a lot of value for the property comparing with other parts of Denver, but also I think it's still in one of the best areas in Denver when it comes to access to the mountains as well as to Denver and really all throughout getting anywhere you need to go. So Wheat Ridge, it's located just a little bit west of the first neighborhood I shared with you guys, Sunnyside. So it's gonna be a little bit longer to get to the downtown Denver. I would say about 15 to 25 minutes, depending on where you're trying to go. And if you're going to try to get out to the airport, you're looking at about 25 to 35 minutes. I actually grew up in Wheat Ridge, so I don't live there now, and I haven't lived there for about 30 years at this point, 25 years at this point. But the reason I think it's still worth considering in some place that I would actually move back to at this point, maybe not with my letter jacket on and being that guy going back to the old stomping grounds, but definitely still an area that I think is worth looking into because of the value opportunities. So Wheat Ridge is an area that I think there's other areas in Denver similar to this, but with Wheat Ridge specifically, a ton of its residents are a little bit older in age, and they're getting to that point where a lot of them are needing to sell their home to move into a retirement home or maybe just to get into a smaller sized property. And there's a lot that are starting to turn over. So this has a lot of opportunity because a lot of these homes are still in fairly original condition from the 1940s, 1950s. So if you're somewhat, maybe good with your hands, or at least maybe a little bit crafty with getting the right people to help you with your home, with improving it, getting it brought up to what's popular today and what you're trying to achieve in your future home, then definitely I think Wheat Ridge is going to be one of the spots that has the most opportunities for these types of properties. I've had a few clients that I've recently helped buy and sell in this area, and after we're always done with the transaction, I'm always really happy for them because I know that they're in an area that's going to continue to see appreciation go up and just be in a very popular part of Denver, and that's not going to change anytime soon. If you're ever looking at Denver kind of from up above, from a 10,000 foot view looking down on Denver, you have an area basically between downtown Denver and the western edge of Denver, like in the Golden Applewood area, which is just barely west of Wheat Ridge. So there's this very finite area that is great for access to the mountains, as well as great for access to Denver. And you're right smack dab in the middle of all of that. So you really have the ability to do really whatever you want on a daily basis. If you want to get out and enjoy some outdoor activities where you're escaping from all of the busyness of Denver and kind of finding areas that aren't very populated, where you can kind of maybe even have your dog off leash, or at least just have a chance to kind of breathe and not be so confined like other parts of Denver where you're really going to see people no matter where you go. Wheat Ridge has that opportunity. You also have the ability though to get very close, easy access to I-70, I-25, even Highway 93. Pretty much anywhere you want to go, you have the highways and the major thoroughfares at your fingertips when you live in Wheat Ridge. So kind of bringing this all back, my biggest pro for Wheat Ridge is definitely going to be its larger lot sizes and the ability to really get more for your money, and the opportunity, if you're somewhat good with your hands, to do value add and fixer-upper type opportunities to improve the value of your property almost instantly, just with a little bit of sweat equity. Okay, but now let's talk about the one con, or the one reason why Wheat Ridge might not be the best for you. And I think without a doubt, I think this is probably the case for most people that get asked about Wheat Ridge. It's very limited when it comes to nightlife. It's starting to get a little bit better when it comes to restaurants, but there's just really not a ton going on. It's still a little bit sleepier of an area in comparison to some of the others that I've shared with you today and just some of the other areas around Denver. So if that's really important to you, this might not be the best spot, but I will still push back a little bit on that with just the understanding of, even though you're not maybe walking distance to some really great restaurants and bars and nightlife and all that kind of stuff, it's not that far away. You still have a ton of available stuff to do within about a 5 to 15-minute drive. A lot of that would be going a little bit further west to Golden. I love Golden. I think downtown Golden is so fun and there's so much going on over there. So that would be one area that's very accessible, as well as when you live in Wheat Ridge, you're very close to Berkeley and Tennyson. And Tennyson Street is just blowing me away at how much it has changed since I grew up in Denver, again, about 30 years ago, where we used to have the original Elitch Gardens, which is now Six Flags. The original amusement park was right here in that Wheat Ridge as well as Tennyson area. And there are tons of cool things going on over there now. Really fun restaurants, bars, shops, art galleries, stuff that really can entertain and be cool for anybody to check out. So that's another area that I think is very close to Wheat Ridge, and in some cases really almost part of Wheat Ridge, right on the border there. And definitely an area that is, again, worth looking into. Oh, and one last thing before we close out Wheat Ridge. We just had Lutheran Hospital get relocated from its existing location in Wheat Ridge to a brand new area right on the cusp of Wheat Ridge and Applewood. And the new hospital is beautiful and is bringing a ton of development all around it. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years in this Wheat Ridge area where Lutheran Hospital is now located. And the area that's just slightly to the west of here, Applewood and Golden, are also seeing a ton of popularity and just further expansion because of everything that the hospital is bringing with it. So definitely check out that part of Wheat Ridge because it's one of my favorites and an area that I think is going to see some of the most growth and appreciation in the next few years to come. Before we close this one out, you guys, you know what? I actually think we should do a bonus. I want to share with you guys one more. So my fifth neighborhood, and I'll keep this one short and sweet. This fifth one is going to be Welshire. So Welshire, the reason I wanted to add this one is because it's an area that I did not know that much about until about a year ago when I helped some awesome clients of mine that were looking for a new investment property. They lived out of state, they sold a couple things over in California, and they wanted to buy something in Colorado, and really scoured the entire Denver area looking for really good areas for rentals. And Welshire is an area that's, I think, a hidden gem because not only does it have some of the best schools in the entire state, according to niche.com and some of the other resources that I've shared with you guys, but also because it's got an awesome location where it's very, very close to some of the most popular, the most expensive parts of Denver completely. We're talking Cherry Creek, Glendale, even close to University, which is where DU is located. There's just a lot of very expensive real estate all surrounding Welshire, and Welshire has large lots, and it just feels like you're in this little bubble where it feels like a suburb, yet you're really surrounded by some very busy, more populated parts of Denver. So this could be another area to check out, and if so, feel free to shoot me a message. I'll put all my info down below again, but also you can find more on Welshire by checking out my latest free guide. It's my locals guide to Denver. I'll put that as a link down below as well. But in there, I go in depth on not just Welshire, but 19 of my other favorite parts of Denver. So if this is something that's kind of interesting to you guys, definitely don't miss out on that because it's really got a full overview of everywhere in Denver and all the best spots. It's free. And again, I'll put that link down below. All right, so we wrapped up those 4 neighborhoods as well as that bonus 5th neighborhood. Now I want to share with you guys quickly just where I would choose of all of these 5 neighborhoods if I was moving back to Denver today. And believe it or not, it's going to be Wheat Ridge. And I'm choosing Wheat Ridge, even though that's where I spent a lot of my childhood, just because I truly think this is an area that has some of the biggest chance for appreciation and is the safest bet when it comes to being able to buy a home at a really good price, yet being able to really see into the future 5 to 10 years and know that that's going to be only continuing to be more and more popular of an area and more people also finally catching up and realizing how special Wheat Ridge is. It's not just because I grew up there and I'm just saying this to you guys. Remember, Lutheran Hospital, tons of stuff are getting built all around there now. Some of the most popular parts of Denver are also all surrounding the Wheat Ridge area. Out to the east, you've got that Sunnyside neighborhood, as well as Highlands and Sloan Lake. You also have areas like Arvada to the north, which continue to get more and more popular. And just to the west, you've got Applewood and Golden, two of the coolest parts of Denver, and areas that are continuing to see very high appreciation, and also just seeing homes become very difficult to purchase because of the popularity and how quickly they're getting purchased. So just, I think everywhere around Wheat Ridge is blowing up, and Wheat Ridge is kind of feeling those effects, as well as just doing a lot on its own to make it an even cooler place to live. So my pick for 2025 going into 2026 and beyond is going to be Wheat Ridge. I've done some other videos on Wheat Ridge, so I'll link one of them up above. Check that one out if Wheat Ridge is also kind of piquing your interest in an area that you also want to check out. So really excited though, you guys. Hopefully you got some value out of this one, and hopefully you'll reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you and share more on why I think these 5 areas are great, but also sharing info on anywhere else in and around Denver that also might be of interest to you guys. That's what I'm here for. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, don't forget, hit that like and the subscribe button. And more importantly, have a great rest of your week. I can't wait to share an all new, brand new episode of Living in Denver with you very, very soon. Make sure you keep your eye out for it, and I'll see you then.